Alright, we are back for another painting video. And in this one, I'm going to be painting one of the new-ish, at time of recording, Attilan Rough Riders. I am going to paint them sort of to emulate the Bretonnians from Warhammer Fantasy. They were always my favorite army. Cross your fingers for me, I hope they're coming back in the old world. And so these guys are on horses, and they've got decorative horse blankets, so I figured why not? I'll paint them like Bretonnians. So we're going to start off super easy. I should say this guy's primed in Wraithbone spray from Games Workshop. We're going to start with Imperial Fist. This guy is going to be yellow and black as his colors. And I'm probably going to paint the Rough Riders in many different colors, as I said, to sort of emulate the Bretonnians from back in the day. But I'm just gonna do the one on video here today. Everything else aside from the Bretonnian sort of whatever, I don't know what these are called. I should have looked up what these are called. The horse decoration. Everything else will be pretty usable on any Rough Rider you paint. You may not want to be painting coat of arms on yours, but other than the quick talk about coat of arms, everything else should be useful to you, at least if you're painting these guys. I am probably gonna take me quite a while to paint these guys, just because I'll be doing them all differently, but I think they'll look cool in the end. Hopefully they're still good when, or at least fieldable when 10th edition rolls around. So I don't imagine I will be done with them before then. So I'm just going to do this side of the horse's blanket in yellow. And then I'm going to do the other side in black. And, normally Bretonnians, they have cloth like this, but then they also have some in the back. These guys only have it in the front. So that will make things a little more difficult, but we should be fine. Also, I'm not worried about getting this yellow on the leather, the horse skin, or on this metal here. Every color we're going to use after this will cover over this yellow, no problem. So it won't be an issue. Alright, so there's that yellow all done. I will go straight into the next color here, which is going to be Black Templar. Got a little spillage on there, but that's okay. And this is just going to be on the other side of him. And even if you weren't going to do Bretonnians, or a similar style to Bretonnians, it might still be cool to do Rough Riders with a two-tone color like this. Might make them stand out in the crowd compared to other people. Or, I could be wrong. Maybe everyone will be doing this. I'm not sure. Just get that flowing nice and easily along here. And then I'm going to get a smaller brush to get all this intricate detail bits up here, because this black will cover over the leather and the horse skin that we're going to do later. But you don't need to see all that. You just saw me do it with the yellow. So I'm going to finish this black up. Then I'm going to paint his clothing in these same colors. Then once that's all dry, we'll come back and keep going. All right, we're back, and our black and yellow is all nice and dry. Now we're going to use some Fire Slayer flesh to do the horse skin color. I thought this sort of reddish brown color, but pretty light reddish brown color, would contrast well with the yellow and black. And it won't, we can paint it on pretty quickly because it won't mess with any of our colors that are going to come later. And I'm not sure what color I'm going to do these, again, I really should have looked up, what the name of all this stuff on the horses is, but I didn't. these things around his shin guards. We're going to call them his shin guards. I'm not sure what color I'm going to do them. I might have to look at the box art and see if they did them in the same color as the blankets here, or if they did them in a neutral color or what. They kind of look like they're made of leather, so maybe we'll just do them in our leather color. But at the same time, they might also look good in the black and yellow. So we'll have to see. But for now, I'm just going to get the skin of the horse. And I'm just doing the whole hoof here just to get some color on it. Obviously, the color will change later, but for now, it's fine. And I'm just being careful around the yellow, because this will stain the yellow. But all of our leather, I think I'm going to do the leather in the Garrigax Sewer, kind of a dark brown, sort of your classic Bretonian leather color, at least in my head. So this will, and Garrigax Sewer will cover over this Fire Slayer flesh, no problem. Just going to get the back of the ear. Make sure it's all covered there. Yep. All right, and then the top of the horse here. Just being careful where possible to not get clumps of the contrast so that we get a nice smooth finish. A little bit more in there. All right, so now it's just about, oh, I gotta get this other leg here. But as soon as I do this leg, then it's about going through and seeing where the horse's skin is poking through somewhere else. So for instance, right here. And this can be a problem with, not a problem, but something you need to keep in mind when you're painting horses is that they often have a lot of stuff on them, and these horses have a lot of stuff on them. So we just need to look and make sure that there's no exposed skin anywhere. Oh, yeah, down there. Gotta get that. There we go. And right in here. And I think that will do it. Yeah. Looks good to me. So I will let that dry. We will come back and I think do the leather on this guy. All right, we are back and we're going to do the leather now. And the leather is going to be quite a process. There's a lot of leather on him. So we're just going to start going here and eventually we'll be done. I did check these and they did paint them in leather for the box art, so I'm going to do the same. So I'll just go ahead and start here and get these knocked out. Or at least get one of them knocked out. And then I'll move on to what else we're going to paint in leather. It's really pretty straightforward. Anything that looks like leather is going to be painted in leather, unless there are a bunch of straps and stuff going around something else, then we may paint that something else in not this color. I'm actually going to switch to a smaller brush because I know I'm going to need one for a lot of this detail. And then I suppose I'll start up here. So these straps that are holding all this together up here, they're going to be brown. A lot of this also is metallic, but I'm just going to paint it all brown right now. And then that way, if I miss any at a later date, when I'm painting in the silver, I won't have primer showing, I'll just have more brown showing. Just being careful around the yellow. If it leaks a little bit down onto the yellow, it's not the worst because it'll just look like shadow between the two pieces. But I don't want to like have an entire pool of it down there. And so things like this, normally maybe these gloves would be leather, but because they're right here next to the reins, just to break up what's going to probably be a lot of brown on this guy, I'm not going to paint the gloves in brown. I'll pick a different color for them and do that. I was having this same sort of discussion with someone the other day about how we often, in terms of realism, we'll often overpaint things in Warhammer or in miniature games in general. Um, like a lot of the times, like I've just finished painting some tanks, and in real life, the tank is just a color. Um, there might be some other stuff on the tank that has a different color, and of course, you could have a tank with camo painted on it, but like you wouldn't paint. There wouldn't be rivets that you'd paint silver, and there wouldn't be like the hatches wouldn't be a different color and stuff like that. It would just all be the color of the tank. But to make things look cool on the table, we often will, like I said, quote unquote, overpaint things. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that if you just sprayed tanks one color, or even just painted a camo pattern across every detail on the tank, I think it would look bad on the table. But it would technically, potentially, be more realistic. So, same thing with the gloves here. While they probably would be leather, and they might even be the same leather as all these straps, just to make the guy look a little bit cooler, I'm going to paint them a different color. And I'm going to do the same thing with the boots. I'll probably make the boots and the gloves the same color. And that'll make that easy. There are so many straps on this guy, though. So just get, there we go. All right, so then all these bags back here are going to be this color. And I'll probably do the scabbard a different color for the same reason as the gloves, just so it's not so much brown back here all at once. His belt and his holster, though, I will do in brown. And then I'll probably do his knife scabbard here the same color as his sword scabbard. But you guys don't necessarily need to see me paint every single strap, so I will go ahead and end this clip here, finish painting all this color, let it all dry, and then we'll come back and get into some of the smaller details. All right, we are back and everything is nice and dry. And now we're going to move on to ball red. And this is going to be the scabbard color. Get my brush a little bit wet here. There we go. And it's going to be both the knife scabbard as well as the sword scabbard. And I'm just going with red because black being one of our main colors, and a neutral color, we need a fairly bright and vibrant pop color to make the miniature look a little bit better. And red is just a good color, in my opinion. Or ball red, I mean, is I mean, red is a fine color too, but ball red specifically is just a nice color that I like to use. Could have gone with green also, or maybe a blue, but I think I'm gonna do the the fur on his hat and his gloves in blue, in like a kind of off gray blue. So that's why I didn't go with blue in this case. Get the back of the scabbard here. Up there. And we're good to go, I believe. Oh, I'm going to do the rifle scabbard in this color also. So I'm going to get the easy part first down here, and then got to be very careful on this next part because there's a lot of things right next to it. Just going to go right up to the edge of this yellow here. And then right in between the yellow and brown. All right. And then just fill in the rest here. Well, I did get a tiny bit on the yellow. That's okay. And then the rest of the scabbard up here. I don't know if you call it a scabbard if it's for a gun. Maybe just a sheath. I'm not sure, to be honest. Oh, and there's another buckle or another belt right here that I'll need to do in our leather color in a minute. There we go. Oh, and then right back here. All right, so that's all of our red done. So I'll let this dry and have a brainstorm about what other colors I want to use on him, and then I will come back and probably do a couple colors in the next step. All right, we are back, and we're going to do our boots, gloves, and some other assorted bits now with Gore-Grunta fur. We're going to do like I said, the boots and gloves, but also the part of the hat that isn't the fur. And possibly some other things. I'm not quite sure yet. We're going to start with the stuff I already named. And if this gets on our Garagak sewer, it's not the end of the world, because it is darker. The Garagak is darker, so it'll still come through just fine. I'll get it here. I'm not 100% sure if this is a glove. It is very skin tight if it is. But based on the other hand, that definitely is a glove, I'm just assuming that this one is also. Right, there's that. Just get the underside. And all this is going to be metal, so. The only thing I'm trying to avoid is the fur right there, because that will be, it's going to be like Space Wolf's Gray or something. So I'm going to get that. And this here. And actually, I think, yeah, they've got like a little piece that kind of runs down the side of their face, along their jawline. It's part of the head, or part of the helmet, I mean. So I'm going to paint that in with this as well. And then all the stuff under his chin and in his neck area, I'm just going to do that in this same color as well. There we go. Good. And then the top of the helmet here. Okay, that'll do. Then his other glove. Oh, and his other boot too, I suppose. Get that on there. And then as soon as I do this, we're going to be almost done with our contrast colors. We'll be about ready to go on to our metallics. I'm just double checking. We have to do the fur. We're going to do that in Space Wolves Gray, or maybe Griff Charger Gray, or Griff Hound Gray, whichever one it is. I think it's Griff Hound Orange, Griff Charger Gray. We're going to do that, and then we're going to do these blankets, the saddle blankets, in like a Militarum Green. And then I think, I'm going to get these, the sword handle here. and the dagger handle. I'm going to do this. Oh, and there's this like little front bit of the belt here. This isn't technically supposed to be this color, but I'm lazy and I just want there to be a color there, so I'm just going to do it with this color while I'm here. Alright, and the other side of this. And then the lance has a handle as well, but it has a different pattern than the other two, so I'm going to do that in a different color. But we can go straight in now to our Griffhound Gray, or whatever, Griff Charger Gray, whatever it is. Give it a good shake. And this is going to go on. I'm going to do it on the plume, I think, too. If I don't like it on the plume, it comes off. It's so light that any other color, or most other colors, will cover right over it. So the plume may change to black later. And if you see it black, you'll know why. Just going to get this fur, though. This fur is definitely going to be this color. Make sure to get the underneath part of the fur here. And the fur on the arm. I feel like there's somewhere else besides the hat and the arms that he had it, but maybe not. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe this is all the fur. And under there. Am I crazy? I guess I am. That plume is definitely going to get changed to black in the future. Alright, well that's done. So now I'm going to find my Militarum green. Actually, no, I think that's too bright. I was going to do that, but I think that's too bright for the other bright colors we have on here. So I will do Militarum green. It's been sitting a while, so give it a good shake. And then the two saddle blankets are going to be this color. So I'll start with this one right here. And I had a thought earlier, as I was waiting for some colors to dry. I realized that I made the scabbards red because I think they would look good with this color scheme, but of course all my Rough Riders are going to be different colors, and so we may have some ones that have a red as a main color, and so will that clash? I'm not sure. Maybe they'll all have varying colors of scabbards. We'll have to see about that. But for now, for this video, it's going to stay red. If they ever appear in anything else I do, you may notice they have a different scabbard color. We'll have to see. Alright. So I think... Oh, one last thing. I'm just going to take some Reichland Flush Shade. And this is not really a contrast color, but it's going to be... We're going to use it like a contrast color. And we're just going to put it on his face. There we go. And I think... A little bit more. There we go. And I think that will be it for the contrast colors. We will come back as soon as everything is dry, do the metallics, and then we will be about ready to do the coat of arms symbol, which is going to go right here. Alrighty, our contrast is drying, or mostly dry. And I realized I went back and did this bag, this, and his tail, the horse's tail, in snakebite leather, and I completely just forgot to turn the camera on. So, sorry about that. But now, we're going to use black metal from scale 75. And we're going to base all the metal here. So I'm going to take my slightly larger brush and just base coat this all in here. Got a little too much water left on my brush here. Try this again. That's better. Just being careful not to nick anything. And we're going to come back and do a lighter metal for all the buckles and stuff. But that'll be a later step. First of all, we're just going to get all this stuff blocked in. Probably need a second coat of this, which I'll do off camera. Just because this darker metal doesn't cover as well over a bright white base color. But that's okay. If you wanted, you could, when you were doing the black, you could just base coat in a bunch of the metal with your Black Templar. And that would solve that problem. This covers over Black Templar just fine. But I didn't do that this time, so I will probably need a second coat. Oh, what the heck? Oh, I see what I did. I was confused for a second. I thought I had painted something that wasn't supposed to be that color, but we're good. Right, and then very carefully getting these armor panels. I'm not exactly sure what these armor panels are doing. They're like on the horse's upper leg, but I don't know. It's weird. Like, this horse's leg is going like this, and the pad is that way. And this horse's leg is going straight down, but the pad is still that way. So I'm not really sure what those are doing. But, I guess they're just flapping on the... I don't know. That's weird. Whatever. Doesn't affect us for painting right now, so... that's a question for another time. Get these shoulder pads as well. And the other one. And his sword and dagger hilts are going to be in gold, probably. So I won't bother to block those in. As soon as this plume finishes drying, it's getting changed to black, so you may see that on the next video here. Get that. Oh, and I have to do his rifle butt in a color. I might do that Creed camo, actually. And then I'm going to get his lance here. And then I know I want to do this Taser Goad coil here in blue. So I'm just going to avoid it as I paint the rest of this stuff. I was thinking I was going to paint it silver and then maybe re-highlight it, but I think I'll just leave it the color it is. And then just contrast it. So I suppose I said earlier when I was done with contrast, I wasn't. So I'll have to use contrast for that. Well, I won't have to use contrast for that. I'm going to choose to use contrast for that. Probably not Talisar blue. That's probably too blue or too bright, but maybe too dark rather. Maybe Celestrum blue or whatever it's called. We'll have to see. Get the back of the lance here. I guess this is the counterweight. So his lance just doesn't dip into the ground as soon as he levels it. Get that second coat I was talking about on those big pieces. It's dry enough for that. And then I think that's all of our metal base coated in, aside from the stuff that, like the hilts here that are going to be gold. Oh, his walkie-talkie. Or radio or whatever. So I will let this dry. And then we'll come back and do the last couple of contrast colors for real this time, I think. Which will be Sun Blue up here and Creed Camo on the gun. And then we'll come back, highlight the metals, or put the lighter silver and the gold on. And then he'll be done, aside from the coat of arms. Alright, we are back to finish off our contrast for real. We're going to start with Frostheart. And this is just going to be for the coils. On the taser goad here. We might come back and highlight them later with a layer paint, but we'll see. As usual, I'm just going for battle ready here, so don't necessarily need to come back and highlight them again, but I might if I'm feeling spicy. There we go. That'll do, if it'll focus on that. There we go. And then put that away. And then some Creed Camo for the gun barrel, or the gun butt, rather. Just like that. Wonderful. All right, and I also, while doing that, I realized something we forgot to do, which I will do real quick. That's just going to be with the black metal again, and it's going to be the horseshoes. So just carefully go along the edge here. Just like that. And then all over the bottom. And then I'll do that on the other three hooves. And then we'll come back and do the light metal. All right, I am back for probably what's going to be the longest step on here. So, you can't really read it, but I promise it is plate mail metal from the Army Painter. And we're just going to get going here. All the buckles, all the rivets, everything that's metallic that we didn't already paint, we're going to paint in with this color. Aside from the special details on this sword, which is going to be gold. So all these buckles here. There's just so many buckles on this guy. But if you just leave them brown, it does look weird, so I'm going to take the time to do it. I'm going to get this ring around the bottom of the scabbard here. And this rivet right there, or whatever it is. A buckle on his shoe. Right, there's a little button or something right there. And then all sorts of stuff in here. Get all that in there. This little button. That little button. This buckle. The stirrup. We're going to get that in silver. There we go. All right, what else do we have here? Oh, all the buckles on the horse's head. Just about time to get a new paintbrush. This one doesn't hold a tip so well anymore. And for these small buckles, it is kind of a pain. I think this whole thing right here is metal, so I'm going to paint that in. Like that. And then And the same thing on this side. There we go. And then these buckles again. So, and I'll do all those buckles just like I did on this side. But I'm just going to look for different things now. Oh yeah, these are like tension. I'm not sure what they're called. They're like tension straps almost. So those are just the tops of those are painted in. The buttons on his coat, I'll get these. Right there. And on the other side. All right. And then I think I'm going to do the tip of the lance here. And then I think I might do these cables in black when I come back and do the plume in black. But this bit of the wristwatch here will be silver. And then really from here, it's just about going around and finding all the other buckles on him and painting them. So I won't bore you with all that. I will get this all done. And then once I do, we will come back, paint the gold, and then basically call him done. All right, we are back. And now we're going to use some rich gold from Pro Acryl. We're just going to use this for the scabbard, or the hilt, rather. There's the word, of the sword, as well as the dagger. Oh, and there's a quilla on the front of the horse. We're going to get that with this color as well. And the dagger. And then the aquila. I think you still call this an aquila, even though there's a skull, but maybe not. Maybe this has a different name. Well, the thing with wings and skull on the front of the horse is going to be in this color. There we go. All right, and I think that is it for the gold. I'm just going to look around him real quick, see if I see anything. I think we're good. So now we can go straight into our coat of arms I'm going to try to do here. And this may not go well. We're going to see. Let me pull up my reference image. Actually, I'll let all this dry. I'll pull up my reference image, and then we'll come back, and I will attempt the coat of arms I'm going to try. Alrighty, so this is the part of the paint job that could go terribly wrong. We're going to find out. I'm going to take some Black Templar, and I'm going to attempt to draw in the battle axe of Brion, I think it's pronounced. It's one of my favorite Bretonnian symbols. And we're just going to see how it goes. So I'm just going to go for it here. Just going to be very gentle and draw small lines. I'm going to use a different paintbrush, I realized. This one's having a struggle. Let me find an actual good paintbrush here. There we go. All right. So I'm just going to start with the curve of the axe here. Okay. It's not the worst I've ever seen. Then it curves in like that. And then the same thing on the bottom. All right. Then it comes down like this. Trying to have a minimal amount of paint on my brush, but enough that I can still draw these lines. It's down like that. Just going to draw in the basic shape, and then I will put the embellishments on it afterward. Okay. And then it comes up here like this. And I can just come all the way down here. All right. And then it has the sort of same thing, but smaller. Comes down like this. And then down like that. Come down a little farther, actually. Like that. Alright, so then I'll fill this in. And we'll see what we're working with here. And then I'll add some details to this axe. And I'm using contrast paint as opposed to layer paint just because it's already very thin. It makes it easier to draw with. Okay. Alright, so I can already see that this has to come up a little bit. Bring the top of the axe up. Good. Just to bring the blade of the axe out just a tiny bit. There we go. I'm just going to fill this in so we get a nice solid black color. Alright, so then the back half of the axe here has a little point that comes out of it. Just like that. Good. Then about here, we have just a little bit of the handle juts out a little bit there. And then again at the bottom, but not quite at the bottom, so we'll have to draw in a little bit more at the bottom in a minute. All right. And then the handle is a little thicker between these two parts. So I'll just thicken it up a little bit here. And then there's a little dome on the bottom of the handle. All right. So now I'm just going to focus on cleaning up the lines. Let me flip him here. Okay. And then I just need to make this part a little bit more solid down here. And right there. Good. And then these areas still just aren't really the same color. I mean, they are the same color, obviously, but they're not the same shade. So we just need to darken them up Make sure they're all nice and dark. There we go. And that will work for me, to be honest. I could probably touch it up a little bit more, clean it up a little bit more. But from 3 feet away, it's hard to get 3 feet away from the camera right here, but on the tabletop with a bunch of other guys who will have a different coat of arms and stuff on them, I think that will work just fine. So the only other thing I'm going to do, which won't be immediately, so I won't have a clip of it, I'm just going to put some Nuln Oil on all the metallics. But I want those metallics to really set before I do that. So I'm just going to leave it for a while, and then I'll do that. And then right about now, you should be seeing pictures of him all finished up with that Nuln Oil applied, and then a nice simple base on him. At the time of speaking these words, I don't know how exactly I'm going to base these guys. The only thing I've done for this army so far is tanks, and they obviously don't have a base. So we'll see. But you'll be seeing that right now, and I will have figured it out. Thank you, everybody, for watching. If you like this kind of video, feel free to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you on the next one.